nuances and failure versus defeat and all of those things. I came across I forgot who, somewhere online. I don't think it was sports related. It might not been. It might have been. All these things blur in my head at this point. But somebody was talking about the difference between good and great. Have you ever thought about that concept in general? Right, like, and they said something very fascinating to me, which I think intrinsically I've always known because I tend to be a high performer everywhere in a lot of aspects of my life, but I haven't been able to like articulate it very well. And I think they said the difference between good and great is sacrifice. And you can be talented and decently good at something, maybe gifted, maybe genetically gifted, depends on what you're talking about, right? But like, you can be decent and good and get by. That's a fact. I think everybody has known somebody that's done that to some degree, or that like skates by to a large degree, right? You can turn, with a little bit of effort, you can turn a C student into like a B student. And like or a B plus student, right? But in order to turn like a B student to an A plus student, even though it's the same degree of separation from the C to B and the B to A, even though it's the same points that you have to cross through to get to that 98, 95, 99, 10-0, right? The amount of work that you have to do is astronomically more. It is not correlated whatsoever. If you did 10 amount of work to get from C to B, it's 100 amount of work to get from B to A. And so it's not proportional at all. And it really fascinated me because when you really start to dive into the nooks and crannies of it, the difference between just good at something and phenomenal at something, extraordinary at something, is the sacrifice. Is going in and saying like, look, in order for me, I'm a B student right now. I'm a B plus student right now. What's it going to take for me to get an A? What do I want an A for? I want an A plus. What do I want an A plus for? I want to go to Yale. Okay, what's it gonna take, right? It's gonna take less hanging out with my friends. It's gonna take more time studying. It's gonna take later time studying. Maybe I don't watch Stranger Things with all my friends. Maybe I don't want, you know what I mean? Like there's all I'm talking about is things not to do, not the things to do, right? And at that point, the sacrifice becomes such a key component to the difference between good and phenomenal, good and extraordinary, to the point where like a concise way of saying is like you can't do ordinary things for extraordinary results.
Absolutely.
My
dad's told me that
so it's one of those things where when they described it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like an 8'6" athlete, to get them to a 9'6" or a 9'7" is so much.
It's a big jump.
It's such a big jump. It's such a big jump mentally. It's such a big jump confidence-wise. It's a big jump, not like the actual aesthetics of the gymnastics, right? It's a big like strength jump. It's just so huge. But a 7'7" athlete to an 8'6" athlete just means that like you just, maybe you're just not up to level.
You stayed on.
So. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you like? What's your initial reaction?
I think that's 100% true. And for me, something that I talk with my athletes about with, the things that they want to be. And we talk about it like, less than 6% of high school athletes go the NCAA route. And how many of those athletes, the percentage of them actually being on a full ride, like you've got to realize all of these dreams and these goals that you have, there's a reason very few people achieve them. And my biggest thing with them is, you have to be willing to do things other people aren't willing to do to have what other people will never have. If you aren't willing to and I tell them specifically with me, one, my kids will never work out more than 20 hours a week because that's what they bar at the NCAA. And for me, I really want them to find that balance of, school, time management, their bodies, mental, rest, all of that stuff. So I'm like, you guys are competing against girls that train 30 to 35 hours a week. And as much as I may not want you to do that, there's going to be advantage and disadvantage to both. But they have an advantage because they're in the gym more than you. Now, some of them will get privates with us, and okay, but still, you're not working out 30, 35 hours a week. I said, so if you guys aren't putting in extra work outside of the gym, you're probably not going to be next to those kids that when you walk in, you're intimidated by. If you're not doing handstands, first of all, what gymnast isn't doing a handstand outside of the gym? It's just second nature. Like, do your handstand holds, do presses, make sure you're, eating healthy. If you don't know how, go and find someone that can help you. Make sure you're sleeping, get off of your phone, do some reading, self-development, physical therapy, it's not, and I always tell them, I use analogies with them all the time. I'm like, girls, you don't buy a car, you drive it, and it's just like that forever. You have to put gas in it. You have to, rotate the tires, get the oil change. I said, that is you. That's your body. You have to be getting therapy, the good nutrition, good sleep, all these things. And if you're not willing to do that stuff, well, then we're probably going to fall behind, because now you're telling me your ankle hurts. Okay, well, what are we doing about it? Well, we're just, waiting for what? What are we waiting for? You need therapy. Go do PT. Go do this. And I understand it's expensive, and we talk about that too, and me and the parents and working things out. But it's just like the greatness is, it's a cake. You can't just put eggs in the bowl and it's going to be a cake. You have to put every single ingredient. It's your family's commitment. It's your commitment. It's the time. It's the therapy. It's the mindset. Yeah. It's all of those things. So sacrifice is a great word for it, because sacrifice is about doing things that other people aren't willing to do. And I said, girls, this is why one day you're either going to be on the TV that your friends are watching you on, or you're going to be on the couch watching your friends that you grew up with competing. That's just how it's going to be. Yeah. You either are going to be that girl or you're not. Yeah. And this is what it's going to take. As someone, again, that you guys keep telling me you found me on YouTube, like, I'm not saying it to be arrogant, but I'm telling you from experience. I mean, this is probably what it's going to take, somewhere around there.
It would be interesting to have the same kind of like notion of this conversation. A prime example of that is, Hesley. Mm-hmm. She's 16 years old. And she just, she's a baby, and she just made the team.
Simone's like, can you even drive yet?
Yeah, so it's a great example. Yeah. The sacrifice that girl must have made.
She moved, she was in New Jersey, and now she's in,
where was she at?
She was
before? Was she at
what's
Maggie's?
Her name? Yeah, Maggie's gym. Monmouth? What was that gym called? Monmouth?
I don't know.
Yeah. That place.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was with, I even forget her name, the coach, because I just don't care about her.
It's Maggie Haney.
Maggie Haney, yes. She was from her gym. And now and I can't remember, is Hesley at Woga, or
she's at Woga? She's at Woga with Valeri, not
that's what I thought.
Not Yevgeny.
I thought
although
she was
Yevgeny was there, but
with another one.
I think Yevgeny was there for Sky.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was. But yeah, no, it is a good example. And Hesley's a tough example too, because, like, again, 4-5 people make the team. Like, okay, but the odds of y'all making the Olympic team, for anyone, it's a small number. But you have a higher chance of going to college, which is all my kids' dreams. They're all very NCAA driven.
Yeah. So are mine.
And that's great. I love that. And so for them, I'm like, girls, it's not impossible. Like, you really could go and do it. And that's another conversation too about the whole stigma. And this is a conversation I've had with one of my girls. She was here before I even started coaching here. And she started, as a silver. They did Excel. And she had a coach that they did Zumba for beam. Like, there wasn't real gymnastics going on. And this is a kid who loves gymnastics, and she wants college gymnastics. So me and her have had a lot of deep conversations and a lot of real conversations. I'm like, do you want me to be real with you? And this stuff me and her mom talk with too, and we have a really good communication and relationship with it. But I'm like, you are behind. You're turning 16 and you have yet to compete level 9. It's not your fault that you had a bad foundation, that your coach put you on no road to lead you. Because if I would have had you when you were 6, you'd probably already be committed. Because I would have known we're not doing Zumba for beam. Yeah. We're doing gymnastics.
That's kind of wild,
skills.
actually.
That's the program I took over. Yeah. So she, unfortunately, and I've had that conversation, I said, unfortunately for you, it started unfair, but you have control of what we can do from here. And let's write out what it's going to look like. So me and her sat for like 30 minutes about a month ago. I'm like, if you want level 10 this year, which needs to be probably as a sophomore, you need to try, but we got to test you out of 9. I said, so let's get your 9 skills. Let's see what we can do for 10. I said, but this is what it looks like on paper. Composition, this is what we need. We could do this, special requirement. Obviously, I'm a judge, so like that helps. And, if you do this skill, we need this bonus. And you're probably and she's a specialist because she's had a couple back fractures. Like her back is just, she's got like a bone thing. Well, yeah. So I pulled her off of 4. I'm like, let's just protect your body. What 2 events do you want to do? And she said, I want bars and floor. I said, okay, you're going to be a specialist then. You've got to know you've got to work twice as hard as everyone else because you don't have that all-arounder behind your name that a lot of people are going to want.
Yeah.
So she's okay with that, and we're working, and that's what me and her mom talk about. I'm like, we're doing everything we can do, and whatever happens, happens. We'll leave it in God's hands, and that's just what we're going to do. But she has a nutritionist. She does the therapy. We are in it, and whatever happens is what was just meant to be. And I tell her, don't say no to any program that offers you. If it's a D3, go do it. Don't think just because it's a D3, it's not worthy, because it is. You still get to be an NCAA athlete. I said, and there's plenty of kids that go D3 and they transfer because they've, progressed through D3 and now a D1 wants them. You never know what door could open up. I said, back in my day, number one, if we were committed to college, it was because we weren't good enough to go to the Olympics and we were just like nobodies. It was a bad stigma within. So glad that that's changed because the NCAA is the best experience ever with gymnastics. It's so
especially
fun.
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
And the advent of social media makes it
and
to
with
where
NIL, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, so there's that stigma you don't have to deal with anymore. I said, and there was a stigma that if you transferred, it was like, oh my God, she's like, shun her if she transfers. I was like, that's just not a thing.
There's so many transfers this year.
Yeah, because guess what? Sometimes college coaches lie to you when you get recruited. Yeah. Sometimes they're not who you thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
So you should be allowed to change your mind and say, I want to go to a school where I'm wanted, where I'm valued, where I feel like my career is going to be better. Like, they should be able to do that. So now that stigma's gone away. I'm like, you have so many options. Like, just go and try.
Explore. Yeah.
Go and try, and we're going to do that. And so that's where, that conversation with her has had, and I'm glad that stigma, she doesn't have that because she's like, well, yeah, I might be turning 16. I've never competed 9, but I'm gonna go freaking try. And she works her butt off.
That goes up. That goes to one of the things that I talked about earlier, which is like, what's the goal, right? And the goal ultimately for me is, does your kid like being here? Mm-hmm. Does your kid have passion for this thing? Yeah. If they have love for this thing and they have passion for this thing, I don't care if they repeat the same level 10 times. Let them be here.
Yeah.
Because they love the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me in my life, I think that I've always been blessed in a super lucky, super fortunate that the adults in my life didn't really care about achievements all that much, and they cared more about, like, are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, and are you building a character?
Right, and if you're not enjoying yourself, then, like, just find something else, dude.